They called America the arsenal of democracy, and nothing proved that title quite like its armor. From the dusty deserts of North Africa to the frozen forests of the Ardennes, American steel was everywhere. But it wasn't just about the Sherman. Today, we are breaking down the 20 most iconic, specialized, and lethal armored vehicles the US deployed in World War II. We've got speed demons, heavy hitters, and a few oddballs you might not know. Let's roll. We start with the M2 light tank. By 1941, this was already obsolete, but it's the grandfather of US armor. Its twin turret design on early models looked strange, but its vertical volute suspension became the standard for years. It was mostly used for training, teaching the first generation of American tankers how to fight. Then there's the M2 medium. If you think it looks like a box, you're right. It had machine guns everywhere, literally on all corners, but its high profile and thin armor made it a death trap. It never saw real combat, but it paved the way for the M3 Lee. Now, a legend, the M3 Stuart. British crews in Africa loved it so much they nicknamed it Honey. Reliability was its key feature. It was incredibly fast on the road, nearly 36 miles per hour, and rarely broke down. Its 37mm gun was weak against German panzers, but for recon, it was perfect. The M5 Stuart was the upgrade. It fixed the M3's boxy shape with a sloped glassy plate for better protection. It also featured twin Cadillac engines and an automatic transmission, making it much easier to drive. It served as a scout right until the end of the war. Here is a specialist, the M22 Locust. It was designed to be airborne. This tiny tank could be slung under a plane or fitted inside a glider. While it lacked armor and firepower, the psychological impact of dropping a tank behind enemy lines was undeniable. The pinnacle of US light tanks, the M24 Chaffee. It brought a 75mm gun to a light tank chassis, the same firepower as a Sherman but with the speed of a Scout. It is widely considered the best light tank of the entire war. Before the Sherman arrived, we had the M3 Lee. It's famous for having two guns, a 37mm in the turret and a 75mm in the hull sponson. It was a stopgap measure with a silhouette so tall it was an easy target, but in 1942, that 75mm gun was vital for the British in Africa. America tried to go big with the M6 heavy tank. It weighed nearly 60 tons and carried a 3-inch gun paired with a 37mm. However, it was a logistical nightmare, too heavy for bridges and too slow. It never left US soil, serving only as a propaganda tool. Now, the icon. The M4 Sherman. Standardization was its greatest strength. It wasn't the best at anything, but it was good at everything. Reliable, easy to repair, and produced in the tens of thousands. It overwhelmed the enemy with sheer numbers and logistical superiority. The M4A1 Sherman looks different because of its cast hull. Instead of welded plates, the hull was poured as a single rounded piece of steel. This gave it fewer weak points at the seams, though it was slightly more cramped inside. Sometimes you need to bust bunkers, not tanks. That's the M4 105. It swapped the anti-tank gun for a 105mm howitzer. It fired massive high-explosive shells to support infantry, blasting apart pillboxes and machine gun nests. If a cannon isn't enough, add rockets. The Sherman Calliope. This was a standard Sherman with a rack of 60 rocket tubes mounted on top. It could unleash a devastating saturation bombardment in seconds, terrifying German infantry. The M4A3E2 Jumbo was the brawler. They welded extra steel plates to the front and turret, making it essentially a heavy tank. It was often sent first to draw enemy fire because it could actually bounce shots from German Tigers. The ultimate Sherman, the DZ-8. It used the HVSS suspension and a high-velocity 76mm gun. It offered a smoother ride, better aiming on the move, and finally gave crews a fighting chance against heavy German armor. The US doctrine split tanks from tank destroyers. First up, the M10 Wolverine. It carried a powerful 3-inch gun to kill tanks, but the open top left the crew vulnerable to snipers and artillery. It was the workhorse of the TD battalions. Speed is armor. The M18 Hellcat proved it. It reached speeds of up to 55 miles per hour, making it the fastest tracked vehicle of the war. It utilized hit-and-run tactics, flanking German tanks, firing a shot into the side, and vanishing before the enemy could turn their turret. When the Tiger and Panther tanks appeared, the US needed a bigger punch. Enter the M36 Jackson. With its 90mm gun, this was the only US vehicle in widespread service capable of knocking out heavy German cats from a long distance. For artillery support, we had the M7 Priest. Named for the machine gun ring that looked like a preacher's pulpit, it was a 105mm howitzer on a tank chassis. It could keep up with the tanks and provide immediate indirect fire. The M8 Scott was a pint-sized powerhouse. It put a 75mm howitzer on a Stuart light tank chassis. It gave light tank units their own mobile artillery to blast through obstacles. And finally, the tank that arrived just in time to see the end of the war, the M26 Pershing. It was America's first true heavy tank. With a 90mm gun and thick armor, it was designed specifically to go toe-to-toe with Tigers and Panthers. It signaled the future of American tank design. From the tiny M22 Locust to the mighty Pershing, this lineup crushed the Axis powers through engineering, speed, and overwhelming production.
Which one of these is your favorite? Do you prefer the speed of the Hellcat or the armor of the Jumbo? Let me know in the comments below. Don't forget to like and subscribe for more military history. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.